Incoherence of Atheist Scientism. Atheist Scientism, the belief that science is the only valid means of acquiring knowledge, and that anything outside the realm of empirical science is either irrelevant or non-existent, has gained significant traction in certain atheist circles. Proponents of scientism argue that the scientific method is the ultimate arbiter of truth, and that any question or issue that cannot be addressed by science is not worth considering. While science is undoubtedly a powerful tool for understanding the natural world, scientism takes this reverence for science to an extreme, leading to philosophical and logical incoherencies. In this video, we will explore the key reasons why scientism is an incoherent worldview, examining its self-refuting nature, its limitations in addressing non-empirical questions, and its failure to account for the full spectrum of human knowledge and experience. 1. The self-refuting nature of scientism. One of the most fundamental problems with scientism is that it is self-refuting. Scientism asserts that only scientific knowledge is valid, and that all other forms of knowledge are either false or meaningless. However, this very assertion cannot be proven or validated by scientific methods. The philosophical foundation of scientism. Scientism is, at its core, a philosophical stance. The claim that science is the only way to truth is not itself a scientific claim. It is a metaphysical or epistemological claim about the nature of knowledge. Since scientism relies on a philosophical assumption that cannot be tested or verified through scientific experimentation, it contradicts its own principle. If we were to apply the standard of scientism consistently, we would have to reject scientism itself as a valid belief, since it does not meet the criteria it sets for other forms of knowledge. Circular reasoning. The self-refuting nature of scientism also reveals a circular reasoning problem. Scientism assumes the validity of science as the only means of knowing, but this assumption is based on a non-scientific belief. In other words, scientism starts with the conclusion it is trying to prove, creating a circular argument that undermines its credibility. 2. The limits of scientific inquiry. Science is an incredibly effective tool for investigating the natural world, but it has inherent limitations. Scientism, however, ignores or dismisses these limitations, leading to an incoherent understanding of the scope and reach of science. The domain of science. Science is fundamentally concerned with the empirical world. It deals with observations, experiments, and the testing of hypotheses about physical phenomena. While this approach is well suited to studying the natural world, it is not applicable to every type of question or issue. For example, science cannot address questions of meaning, morality, aesthetics, or metaphysics. These areas require different methods of inquiry, such as philosophy, ethics, or theology, reductionism, and oversimplification. Scientism often leads to a reductionist view of reality, where complex phenomena are oversimplified or reduced to purely physical processes. While reductionism can be useful in certain scientific contexts, it becomes problematic when applied to areas outside the empirical domain. For example, reducing human consciousness, emotions, or moral values to mere chemical reactions or evolutionary byproducts fails to capture the richness and depth of these aspects of human experience. By insisting that everything can be explained by science, scientism oversimplifies reality and ignores the complexities that lie beyond the scope of scientific inquiry. 3. The failure to address non-empirical questions. Scientism is particularly incoherent when it attempts to address questions that lie outside the realm of empirical science. These include questions of ethics, meaning, purpose, and existence, which are central to human life but cannot be adequately addressed by scientific methods alone. Ethical and moral questions. Science can tell us how things are, but it cannot tell us how things ought to be. Questions of morality and ethics, such as what is right or wrong, just or unjust, are normative questions that require philosophical reasoning, not empirical investigation. Scientism, by reducing everything to empirical facts, fails to account for the moral dimensions of human life and leaves us without a basis for making ethical judgments. This leads to moral relativism or nihilism, which are themselves incoherent positions. Meaning and purpose. Another area where scientism falls short is in addressing questions of meaning and purpose. Science can explain the mechanisms by which the universe operates, but it cannot explain why the universe exists or what its purpose might be. These are metaphysical questions that go beyond the scope of empirical science. By dismissing these questions as irrelevant or meaningless, scientism ignores a fundamental aspect of human existence, the search for meaning and purpose in life. Aesthetics and beauty. Aesthetics, the study of beauty and artistic expression, is another domain where scientism fails. While science can describe the physical properties of a work of art, it cannot explain why we find something beautiful or how art can evoke deep emotional responses. The appreciation of beauty and the creation of art are experiences that transcend the empirical and enter the realm of subjective human experience. Scientism, with its focus on objective facts, cannot capture the full richness of aesthetic experience. 4. The reduction of human experience. One of the most significant critiques of scientism is that it reduces human experience to mere physical processes, ignoring the subjective, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of life. This reductionism leads to an impoverished understanding of what it means to be human. Consciousness and subjectivity. Consciousness, the subjective experience of being aware, is one of the most profound mysteries in science and philosophy. While science can study the brain and its functions, it cannot fully explain the nature of consciousness or why subjective experiences exist. Scientism, by reducing consciousness to neural processes, fails to account for the richness of subjective experience, leading to an incomplete and incoherent understanding of the mind. The human quest for transcendence. Throughout history, humans have sought to understand their place in the universe and to connect with something greater than themselves. This quest for transcendence is reflected in religion, spirituality, and philosophy. Scientism, however, dismisses these pursuits as irrational or irrelevant, reducing the human desire for meaning and connection to mere evolutionary or psychological phenomena. This reductionism ignores the depth and significance of the human experience, leading to a worldview that is ultimately unsatisfying and incoherent. Conclusion: Atheist scientism, while presenting itself as a rigorous and rational approach to knowledge, is ultimately an incoherent worldview. Its self-refuting nature, its failure to address non-empirical questions, its reductionist tendencies, and its inability to account for the full spectrum of human experience all reveal the limitations and contradictions inherent in this belief system. Science is a powerful and essential tool for understanding the natural world, but it is not the only way of knowing. By recognizing the limits of science and embracing a more holistic approach to knowledge, one that includes philosophy, ethics, aesthetics, and spirituality, we can gain a deeper and more coherent understanding of reality. Scientism, with its narrow focus and reductionist tendencies, fails to provide such an understanding and should be recognized for the incoherent worldview that it is. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts.